Comrades, friends, evil has come to town, but in the immortal words, we shall overcome. Hate has come to town, but we will not allow it to take seed. As Dr. Martin Luther King famously said, our lives begin to end the day we remain silent about the things that matter to us. Well, friends, today as we stand in the centre of our town, in the centre of Rotherham, we will no longer remain silent. The shackles that have muzzled us for the past 12 months will no longer be able to keep us silent. Now, as we stand united, speaking in one voice, as one town, as a single community, we have to send a message to the far-right groups that keep descending on our town that you are not welcome here. Comrades, let's not forget the principal reason why we are here today. We are here today because we are mourning the death of an 81-year-old innocent man who was killed for no other crime than the crime of being a Muslim. Now, he was on his way to pray at 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, that could have been any one of us. Could have been my granddad. As Sakir said, it could have been his granddad. But he was murdered, and I know there's a legal case going on, so we can't say why he was killed. But each and every single one of us here know why he was killed. Yes. Now, what is equally saddening is that outside of South Yorkshire, nobody knows that this man has died. I was speaking to a relative of mine from Staffordshire, and he had heard nothing about this. Do you know why this is the case? Let me tell you, and we might not like it, but it's the truth. The life of a Muslim is worth less than the life of a non-Muslim. And you might think I'm being paranoid, or I'm exaggerating, but let's look at the evidence. Mohammed Salim, an elderly man in Birmingham, he was also walking back from the mosque and he was murdered. Where was around the hour news coverage? There wasn't. Then in America, I was actually working in America earlier this year, and we all heard in South Carolina, 3 beautiful young Muslims were murdered. Where was the media coverage? You know, CNN, Fox News, NBC didn't cover the attack until they broke wild on social media. When they knew they could no longer suppress the story, they then spoke out. Because the blood of a Muslim, unfortunately in this world, is worth less than the blood of a non-Muslim. And as Phil alluded to, the refugee crisis. For 4 years there has been a war in Syria. Muslims have died, over 200,000 of them. 300 have been made refugees. Shame on our Prime Minister that referred to them as a swarm. And it shouldn't take the death of a 3-year-old for us to accept a meager 25,000 people. So the reason it took the death of a 3-year-old for our consciences to change is because those people fleeing, they are Muslim. If they weren't, we would accept them with open arms. So this is a plea to the journalists and the media, those people that have the freedom of the press. This is a plea from the Muslim world. And I call upon you to speak out, just as you rightly did when drummer Lee Rigby was murdered, just as you lined the streets after the attack in Paris on Charlie Hebdo, just as you did a few weeks ago after the death of people in Tunisia. Now is your time to speak up and let the world know that the Muslim blood is also valuable. It's time for you to break the shackles. And are you going to stand with the media barons like Rupert Murdoch, who will do anything to sell a story? If that means turning a neighbour against a neighbour, if that means fostering an environment like that of Germany in 1930s, where a minority community, where one community was blamed for all the ills, for all the wrongdoings, and was scapegoated, and we all know where that ended. But I've got a message for the Muslim community. I know we're all very angry today, but there's no point being angry today and then not doing anything about it. You know, one thing we should always aim for is that the darkest moments of our history do not repeat themselves. It's a shame that they do. But one thing we must make clear is that we learn the lessons of our past. And if we look at the past, what does it tell us? My fellow brothers and sisters, history tells us that our rights, our battle for equality is never won by one person. 50 years ago this year, a man who I've alluded to before, Dr. Martin Luther King, stood on a bridge in Selma. He wanted black African Americans to have equal rights as the white American peoples did. But if Dr. Martin Luther King stood on his own, black people today wouldn't have had the vote. And on that bridge in Selma, they stood in their hundreds and in their thousands. They marched on the first occasion. They were battered, bruised and pillaged by a racist police force. But they didn't go away. They came back in equally bigger numbers. And what did they say? The police said, "You shall not pass." They said, "We will." And they did, because there was more of them than there was of the others. So if you care, and I know you all care, when a grooming scandal in Rotherham engulfs the whole world, and there is no link to Islam, but the media makes it into a Muslim story. When a few minority extremists pervert the religion of Islam, it is those Muslims who face the backlash. And the media has demonized this community, the Muslim community. And because of the demonization of the Muslim community over the last 10 years, the blood of a Muslim is now worth nothing. So if you want to begin this fight back, it's great to see so many people here. But I'm afraid we're going to need so many more people. We're going to have to give up our times. We're going to have to channel our energies into something positive. Because if you think there's going to be a knight in shining armor who's going to ride along and give you your equality and rights as a garland of flowers and place them around your neck, that's not going to happen. It's going to take each and every single person here to stand up and be heard. Now my final message, and I'm going to conclude, and I know I've took much longer than I probably should have, is that I want to live in a world which is a better place for all of us. Now some might say it is a utopia, but if we don't reach for the stars, then we will never get past the darkened skies that engulf us today. I want to live in a world where we stand side by side, shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand. And I want to live in a world where the death of a Muslim is mourned by non-Muslims, where the murder of a Jewish person is remembered by non-Jewish people, where a person of faith is killed, people of no faith remember them. I want to live in a world where black people's struggles are led by white people. I want to live in a world where the emancipation of women is fought by men. I want to live in a world where the fight and war against poverty, hunger and greed, poverty and hunger is fought by rich and powerful people. Because only when we live in a world like that can we really stand by the meanings of humanity, dignity, love, peace and harmony. Thank you.